Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is OSU Football Update, brought to you by Bronze.
Well, welcome back. We are talking OSU football today with a former favorite, well, not a former favorite, he's a current favorite of ours, but a former special teams, what do we call you, Deion? We called you Guru for so long. Yeah. Deion Imade joins us now. He drew the short straw in being able to break down the what happened in Eugene, Oregon last week. And, of course, I was there too. So it's a little bit about what we saw, Deion, and a lot about what needs to happen, what you can expect moving forward. First off, how are you? Like some OSU fans, you're not in hiding in witness protection program or anything like that. We continue to live on. It's one game, right?
Like most coaches say, after you have a pretty tough loss, the sun will come up tomorrow, and it definitely came up. And I appreciate you guys for choosing me to bring me on the podcast and introduce me to your platform in this fashion after that game. I mean, you and Pop really do love me. I appreciate that. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good, man. It was tough, on Monday, getting to the office and having to answer so many questions from so many different individuals, and then looking over across my cubicle at a couple of Arkansas and, Sooner fans that were pretty, gleefully happy to kind of talk to me about the game. That I fully understand, and this is not going to incriminate me at all, but I fully understand why those SMU individuals that worked in those high-rise buildings in Dallas would, start siphoning money into their program because they were tired of their coworkers talking mess about their alma mater on Monday mornings. I clearly understand it now.
Yeah, and now it's legal. So
yeah.
But let's go back to this. Now I want to put this to bed pretty quickly, but I just saw clip of video of Dan Lanning pregame firing up his team to get out of the field. And look, I know coaches will use anything to motivate, but can we finally put this to bed that what Mike Gundy said was not a shot at Oregon? The suggestion of playing other teams with similar NIL packages, we're heading in that direction anyway. Because the rich are going to get richer, and you may get left out, whatever. But to hear him say, if they want to talk mess about us, I'm not sure there was any mess talked about him. I think there was a whole lot of praise heaped on him by Mike Gundy. Now you can say, well, he shouldn't have said anything to give him a bit of an edge, but he didn't disparage the program in any way.
Yeah, man, it's almost like they think he's like Muhammad Ali, talking trash to his opponent to kind of incite the game and invoke a rivalry or something like that. That wasn't the case, man. He was just literally stating facts. He pulled out numbers. I mean, me being an accountant, I know numbers as well. And if you look at the balance sheet and you look in the P&L statement, it clearly says you have spent about $40 million and we spend about $7 million, point blank and period. If you think that's talking trash, I don't know where you grew up or what neighborhood you played basketball on, but that's not the case. It was just stating the facts. And honestly, in my opinion, I thought it was a very smart move on Gundy's part, being very savvy and putting it to the forefront to our fan base and the people who love Oklahoma State football, and let them know, hey, we're competing in big boy football and we still need your help and assistance to do so. I thought it was a smart move by his point. Now, he did what, coaches do, and the oldest rule in the playbook: grab some motivation for your team and roll it out there and let them feast off of it. And unfortunately, they did for Oklahoma State's standpoint.
So with that set aside now, I mean, obviously, Oregon's tremendously talented, speed all up and down the roster, but very physical. I was surprised that it only took 3 plays for them to score 2 touchdowns. But the fact that I thought they would try to assert themselves early was no surprise at all. The thing that concerns me is the the offensive line, and I know they were missing Markel Samuel. We didn't talk about this probably enough. Your starting left tackle, though, is an important part of your
Yes.
offensive line. So you didn't have him. You're kind of moving guys around, but you couldn't get a big push off the ball to allow some of your backs to get some room. Um, Look, part of that's credit to Oregon, but part of it's a concern moving forward once again, isn't it?
Here's the thing about that. I think early on in the game, and me and Adam kind of talked about this in the post-game show. I think early on in the game, you could see the nerves of the players a little bit, and I think the Oregon Ducks struck in that moment, and it kind of let things kind of snowball and let the game kind of get away from you from a standpoint of, oh crap, we're 21 skunked at this point, and we need to do some things to kind of get back into this game. If the game were to play out, and that, I'm not trying to make excuses or anything, but if the game were to play out in a more, you know, in a more, fashion that we would have been in it, I think the offense was doing things that you could kind of be proud of from the standpoint of if when you saw uh, Ronnie Fields Jr. get into the ball game, he was doing some things, getting some yardage that was admirable. I mean, 4 yards a pop. I mean, if you look at the average, they ran about four. We averaged about 4.2 yards a carry, and those are numbers that were much improved from last week, especially with the competition that we were playing. Now, were they big burst of runs? Did you get those big X plays where you get 20-yard runs or different things like that, big explosive plays? No, but you saw, progression down the field and them being able to move the ball in a steady fashion. Also with Flores, he was connecting on some passes. I mean, in some tight windows that were pretty impressive. Although you didn't get those big chunk plays, they were moving the ball steadily down the field in a way. Now, the score didn't show that because once you get that kind of score, it's kind of all taken away. And then when you face competition where they can finally squeeze you out and get you off the field at some point, it didn't show on the scoreboard as well either. But they were doing some things offensively that were admirable and that were impressive.
Trent Howland was the one that jumped out the most to me. I mean, it was great to see him run the ball, and he has no fear. It looks like that's the style of back that he is. He's a physical back that can run between the tackles, and I think that really showed up for a few runs on the only scoring drive they had, and he got them all the way down to the 5, and then you tried to fool them a little bit, which the problem with that was trying to sneak the quarterback out after faking a handoff to him. There's so much quickness with Oregon, and I know we're getting specifics here, but it was good to see Trent Howland get some carries and get some time, and hopefully the ankle that he rolled is not going to be a long-term issue. I think he'll be back in time for Tulsa, but we'll find out. You know, I know they also tried to target Christian Fitzpatrick a little bit more. Identifying who your guys are that can help you the most. I think that's one of the biggest things in this off week. But you've been through things like this before. Say you had a disappointing loss, and maybe it's early in the season, but you have an off week. Mike Gundy talked a lot about simplifying the game plan. That if you try to do a lot of things well, but you don't do anything really well, then you need to simplify it, don't you?
Yeah, let me go back to what you originally, started that question with. Very good to see Trent Howland get into the ball game. I mean, we were playing a lot of Where's Waldo with him last week with his not being able to touch the field at all, especially with us struggling to run the football. A lot of people were asking where his presence was, especially him being a big physical back. He showed why, the fan base was asking about him. He was very productive when he was on the field. Hopefully he stays healthy and he's able to do some more of that. Now, going back to, the bye week and, and figuring things out after that devastating loss, it's going to be very interesting to see how they simplify things for this offense and the defense just to allow those individuals to play faster. It's always said, if you play simple, if you think less, you play faster. And I think that's what Coach Gundy's kind of wanting to see from this offense as well as the defense. Simplify some things and then add things that are more complicated later on in the season rather than early in the season. Right now, just let these guys be able to kind of adapt to their situation and be able to play fast. And trust me, with that bye week coming up, and we talked about this during the post game as well, you never want to go into a bye week after a loss, especially at Oklahoma State. It's a rough situation because the practices are going to be a lot tougher, and getting into that gym with Coach Glass after during a bye week where you didn't perform as well, trust me, he's gonna ramp it up as well too. So those guys are gonna be challenged this week, and they're gonna have some tough practices, and hopefully they come back and with a much improved team just for the sheer fact that they've been through it. Trust me, I've been through some of those. Not a lot of them, but you never. It's a cardinal rule of a Division I football player, especially a Cowboy. You never want to go into a bye week after a loss.
Yeah, well, just a couple more questions for Deion Imade coming up, including the mentality of a player coming off. I mean, you can't get away from it, a 66-point loss. That's next. Right now, let's take a break and hear from our sponsor, Brahms.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with a Brahms old-fashioned banana split. Crafted with a delicious banana, split down the middle and filled with not one, but 3 scoops of Brahms premium ice cream flavors. To complete this masterpiece, all your favorite toppings are poured on each scoop to bring it all together in a perfect harmony of flavor. Treat yourself to an old-fashioned banana split at Brahms, where every spoonful leaves you wanting more.
Back with Deion Imade talking OSU Cowboy football. The week off, then on the 19th at 6:30 on a Friday night, the Cowboys will host Tulsa, and Tulsa 1-1 right now with a game with Navy this weekend. The mentality, I mean, you can't escape the score difference. You can escape a lot of the social media stuff about it. You just don't watch it. But if you're a player who figured we're going to be competitive and we might pull the upset, and then it ends up being such a big snowball as it is, what do you have to do to get your mind right, to be ready to fix as much as you can, because you can only be accountable for yourself?
Man, honestly, when it comes to forgetting about the last performance, especially when you go through a devastating loss like that, the only thing you can do is get back out there on that field and try to improve as a team and as an individual and focus on yourself. I mean, I feel like it's one of those situations where it's harder for the fan base to get over tough losses like that than it is the actual player, in my opinion. Coaches, they got to deal with it too. But for the player, when you have classes and you have things going on around campus and you're having fun being a co-ed and everything, and on top of that, when you have a tangible thing that you can do to get your mind off of what you went through and to how you can improve, you forget. And then as soon as that next game hits, that last performance is out of your head and gone. So it's more like I say this, and it's not easy to hear, but it's tougher for the fan base because there's nothing they can do but relive the last game until they see the Cowboys again. For the actual Cowboys putting those helmets and pads on, they can go through practice and training and workouts or whatever. Film study, you watch the film, you learn from it, you get your lessons, and then you try to throw that thing away and you move on to the next day. But for the fan base, we just keep reliving and seeing those scores and listening to the media and listening to national news press clippings and everything. So it's I feel like it's a little rougher on us as far as getting over something like that.
Yeah, I know it's the nature of the business, and writing off the rest of the season is what some have already done on the national side anyway. You're 2 games in. You have 10 games remaining. What can this team do?
See, that's the thing. We still have only scratched the surface of what this team is capable of. We haven't really seen them in their, best light. I mean, they were put into a very high adverse situation, going all the way to Oregon, going up against a top 5 team, going up against, that atmosphere it was I'm not going to lie, it was a daunting task, and they did not succeed in that task. But we still have very good players on this football team. There's still a lot of individuals and a lot of athletes on that football field that still are going to have a very promising season, and we can't throw that thing away just because you went up against a juggernaut and a tough team and you didn't have your best day. You didn't have, your more than average day. So you can't just look at that and say, oh, no, the season's over with. No, that's not the case. There's still a lot to fight for. There's still a lot to play for. And there's still, even though that loss was rough, it still gives these individuals and this coaching staff a lot to learn from and a lot to improve on. And trust me, Coach Gundy, as much as everybody is down on him right now, we still know his reputation. We still know what he's made of, and we still know what his teams do, and they fight. So you still got to give them the benefit of the doubt and know that, hey, this is still Cowboy culture, and this is still a football team historically that has been known that doesn't give up and doesn't just fold over when one bad thing happens to them during the season.
Okay, last question. You just talked about it a moment ago. Are you as emotionally resilient at the age that you're at now as you were when you were in college?
God knows. I was so much more resilient back then, John. Nothing could touch me.
It's kind of like your ligaments and your cartilage. It was in a better shape and a better form back then too.
Very much so. These knees, they've seen better days, and we don't bounce back like we used to. Yeah, I mean, when you're young, like things kind of roll off your back a little bit more. I mean, the more experience that you have in life and the more things that you witness, I mean, it's the harder it is to kind of get off that canvas and kind of, begin to fight again. But when you're young, you bounce back pretty fast. And so that's what I'm hoping these guys do. Bounce back pretty fast. Don't worry, I'm gonna still get up now. Don't get me wrong. We still gonna get after it, but it's not gonna be as fast as we were when we were 22 and 21.
Well, yeah, you and I will both need some help getting up too. So, all right,
I'll help you up if you help me.
Yeah, well, that'd be a sight. Hopefully, nobody records it. Deion, thanks for the time as always. And wait, I'm supposed to say at this point, great stuff as always, Deion, because that's kind of a crutch thing. But no, I really appreciate you taking some time out, and enjoy the weekend, and we'll get back after it next week.
I'm gonna be on that golf course, John. You might as well come join me.
All right. I need to hear about good shots, Deion, not the ones that should have been good. Thanks to everyone for checking us out. More OSU Cowboy football podcast talk coming your way in the near future.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma Zone digital studio stream. Stay with News on 6 online and on television anytime for the latest news, weather, and sports.